Good morning. My name is Georgie. I'm one of the advocates here at the Ambulance Center. Oh, this is very bright. Did it work? Yeah, kind of. And so today I wanted to talk about a community that I feel gets overlooked when talking about domestic violence. And so when people think of domestic violence, they often have this idea that it happens in straight, heterosexual relationships. And so it can actually affect all communities, regardless of sexual orientation, race, ethnicity, gender, all of those. It's not something that discriminates. And so domestic violence actually is equal in the rate that it occurs within heterosexual relationships as it is LGBTQ plus relationships. And if studies actually show that it occurs at a higher rate. I think that we have this dominant idea of what domestic violence looks like, what perpetrators look like, what violence should look like, and what victims should be like. And while I don't think that that's wrong, I think that it leaves a lot of room for growth. And so thinking about domestic violence, the basics, it's that willful intimidation, physical assault, any type of abusive behavior meant to gain that power and control over a victim. It include sexual violence, physical violence. It's not something that always has to be physical. It can, I know bruises and broken bones are easier to spot than maybe that more insidious psychological and emotional trauma that's included. And so if I am a victim and I feel like I have with my partner, I'm going to look up domestic violence online or unhealthy relationships. And it's going to come up with a lot of different things based around heterosexual relationships. And so I think that leaves a lot of room for people to potentially be in danger. And so those typical like safety planning lists that can be very helpful may not include things like thinking about your community. And so typically people in the LGBTQ plus community have like one or two places that they can really gather. And so they're going to run into their abuser. If they share that same friends group, they're going to run into them frequently. So planning for that, planning for the isolation that can potentially come if their partner is one of those that threatens to out them or start rumors and share things with friends and family that might not know about their identity, as well as using their dead names to hurt them. And so reaching out for help can be very hard. We live in a rural community, and so that homophobia, transphobia, biphobia is not just limited to actual community members, it's from the people that are supposed to help us and serve us as well. And so it's almost putting yourself at risk to come out for help. And so one of the things that we can do here at the Avalon Center is planning for those things, figuring out who our trusted members of those agencies are, figuring out safe ways for you to get access to medical care, to legal services to things like that. And we can support victims in a lot of different ways. I think the major way that we protect them is our confidentiality policy. And so if anyone comes to us, we'll keep any of that information confidential. None of their information is listed on public record. You cannot Google your name and see that somebody has spoken to us, nothing like that. And so these services from domestic violence and sexual assault programs are not just, for the typical white female. They are for anybody across all genders, ages, and spectrums. And so what I want to say by this is you are seen and it is not your fault. And there is help out there from people that really truly want to see you stay safe. And so if you have any questions, if you would like to tell your story, if you would like to, some different ideas maybe on how you can gain your power back, you can reach out to us in any way. We have our 24-hour crisis line. We have a text hotline. You can message us here on Facebook. It doesn't even have to be a real account. We do have our support groups. Typically we've had them traditionally in person, but here online you can actually join us, and you don't have to say anything. Nobody can tell that you've joined us. You can even come and listen. But before we go, I wanted to share a poem that I had gotten from Pride last year. And so, to my body, I'm sorry that you became a battlefield. Neither of us ever wanted this, but destiny is not easy to run from. And with every passing moment, you were further from me. To my eyes, I'm sorry for the light that was stolen from you, that they covered the stained glass windows to our soul with vented black, blocking 99% of all light. But like Katoon, I'd rather be struck blind than bear witness to all the atrocities that will befall this body in the name of survival, in the name of a light bill. To my hands, you deserve so much more, to be held with meaning, like you are more than just spare parts, made to be a commodity sold in pieces. You've spent so much of your life tied to one another, but you are not bound by the needs of someone else. So do not grind your bones underfoot just so somebody with a $2 haircut and chipped black nail polish can rise and have a good story to tell. To my breath, I'm sorry I lost you. Come back. To my blood vessels carrying electric signals like a radio switcher, you let me feel everything. For that, I can't help but hate you. To my mind, you kept me from everything, leaving only gaps in the night full of color and life. I thank you for pulling me from there. To the tendons in my heart, entropy is the second law of thermodynamics. The natural state in this universe is chaos. Everything dies. I'm trying to think of a poetic way to tell you that your broken strings will never be repaired, but rather become a chapel to all the times we've been used. But it's no use. A graveyard knows it's a graveyard because it's where things that have been forgotten come to disappear. I'm here. It hurts to be alone. Believe me, I know, but I'll stay with you. We'll grow a meadow from the things that we've tried to forget. To my tongue, I thank you for never giving up the fight, even when I'm unable to put together a sentence. The best is when you continue to fool the people around me who could not read a cry for help if it were written in their hands You can read lies like scripture, like I'm okay. I just know that I'm going to be okay because that's what I truly believe. To my legs, I promise the only time you will ever part against my will again is during exercise. To my hair, I will never cut you just for the privilege of care. You are worth more than the stains in someone else's bed. You are sacred strands of goddess fabric, praised from the Morgana. I'm proud of you to have someone pull you, even if I want them to stop. To my nails, dig until you draw blood. Find the little ways to make them pay. To my smile, come back. To my ears, don't give up on me now. To my feet, keep running, because the worst is not over yet. Thank you for joining us, and I hope that you feel a little less alone today.